Hey guys, it's Midge here. We're back again for another leg of our world tour. Today we're flying from Nuuk in Greenland. We'll be flying down to St. John's, which is the easternmost city in Canada. The flight time today, I believe, should be about 3.5 hours, although we do have a fair tailwind looking at the weather map today, so I might be able to shave some time off that. But what we'll do, we'll jump in the plane, get us started up as we usually do, and get on our way. Alrighty, just get myself all settled in here. So it doesn't get light much around Greenland in the summer. That's in the winter even. That's for sure. Ready. So again, just going through our startup procedure here of batteries on, generators on, nav lights on, just to let the people know in the outside world that we're starting to turn ourselves on. Ready up the Garmin's. Make sure everything else there is a-okay. We'll see what runway they give us for a takeoff. So turn the fuel on. Okay. Make sure that the throttle's in cutoff. It's not. Put that in cutoff, and then we'll put the starter on.
Aural warning, okay.
It's like one lonely Christmas tree over there. Okay. And one's going up, so put it into low idle. Just watching all of our cautions here disappearing, keep an eye on temperatures and all that type of good stuff here. Okay, so we'll put our heaters on. Might also turn on the de-icing stuff now as well, because it's pretty cold out there. It's -6 outside air temperature with an international standard atmospheres. It comes down to -20, so we're definitely in icing conditions. There's moisture in the air, so gaining ice on takeoff, that would be pretty damn bad. So we'll talk to ATC. Got our clearances.
November 171 Mike Sierra IFR to St. John's, ready to copy.
Dollar November 171 Mike Sierra is cleared to St. John's Airport as filed. Climb and maintain 8,000 feet. Departure frequency is 121 decimal trees, squawk 5716. Clearance void 30 minutes from now.
So it's a manually managed airport, so yeah, we just kind of declare ourselves in and out of the plane.
Cleared to St. John's Airport as filed. Climb and maintain 8,000 feet. Departure is 121 decimal tree, squawk 5716. Clearance void 30 minutes from now.
Dollar 1 Mike Sierra readback correct. Good day.
Okay.
Bravo Golf Golf Hotel traffic Dollar November 171 Mike Sierra is taxiing to runway 4.
So that's this end. Okay, so I'll turn our parking brakes off. Put our taxi lights on. Just have a quick sweep around, make sure everything is where it's supposed to be. Turn that on to GPS. We've got our altitude selected. We'll go into nav. And we'll sort out the climb stuff as we're getting off. So let's start taxiing out. Watch your head. Let's have a look about, make sure there's nothing in the pattern or coming in. Shouldn't be.
Bravo Golf Golf Hotel traffic Daher, November 171 Mike Sierra, taking off runway for straight out departure.
So we'll spin ourselves around here. Flaps down into takeoff. Just doing one last sweep of everything. We'll turn the separator up. And away we go. Nice into landing, that would help. So there we go, coming up on 90 knots, pitching back. Positive rate will bring the wheels up. Speed's looking good, flaps up. We'll cause ourselves clear of the runway. Oh.
Center Daher, November 171 Mike Sierra, is passing 1,200 feet, climbing 8,000 feet.
Daher, November 171 Mike Sierra, center altimeter 29er decimal tree, 2 continue as planned.
So we'll turn back to get on course here. Let the autopilot manage that sort of stuff because it's what it's there for. And altimeter was 2932, so we'll change that now as well. So gears are up, flaps are up. Power back down a bit there. We'll rest our climb a bit. Icing set, heaters are set, that's all fine. Lights are all set, so that's all looking good so far. Then we say bye-bye to Greenland. Looking very, very pretty and white. Yeah, so from here on, rather than kind of flying west, although we are still doing a little bit of westerly, most of our journey is going to be south, heading towards the sun and more heat and warm and less snow and ice. Little bit of weather ahead. I was looking on weather radar. There's high kind of Is it northerly or southerly when it's coming from the north? Northerly winds, isn't it? So there's northerly winds, which will give us a tailwind, and there's a fair bit of rain between us and St John's as well. Yeah, so I think it probably won't be long till this part of the world is in perpetual night, or maybe just a bit north of where we are, but the sun's not really going to get much more above the horizon at this kind of latitude, longitude, one of those.
Tower 1 Mike Sierra, climb and maintain flight level 180.
Ugh.
Climb and maintain flight
Favorite
level
bloody
180,
altitude,
Tower
180. Hopefully as we get up to 180 it'll instruct us straight up to 20,000, so we're not getting badgered about being at the wrong bloody altitude. So time now is, well, say 13:30, 13:33, as it's shown there, UTC. I've got a current ETA of 19:30. So that's 6 hours, which is really bad because that's way beyond our flight time. But as we get up to altitude and speed up, that should hopefully come down quite a lot. Something of a crosswind, verging onto a headwind coming at us, but as we clear Greenland, or the southern tip of Greenland, that should switch around to a tailwind and take us straight to St John's. Just checking my fuel there. I forgot to do that before takeoff. But yep, we've got a full load, so that's good. Our optional divert, I guess, if we can't make St. John's for any reason, it'll probably be Goose Green. Or it's not Goose Green, Goose Green's in the Falkland Islands, Goose Bay, which is to the north of St. John's by a couple of 100 miles. But apart from that, it's all ocean and unpleasant lands and forests all the way down to St. John's. So coming up into some pea soup here, hopefully we'll get to climb above it. So set our altitude to 2992, seems we're coming up above 10,000 surely. Setting a target of 55 gallons per hour in our fuel burn, just to give us some margin of error. Starting to see the sun burning through there on its way up. That's really cool the way it's casting shadows off those, I mean, what do you call them, hills or mountains?
Tower 1 Lake Sierra, please expedite your climb flight level 180.
Well, okay. So I'll go 18100. See if that fells him. So saying we got a 43 knot headwind. Jeez. 225 knot ground speed. That's pretty awful. Yeah. I'm hoping, like I said, that when this transfers.
Lake Sierra, please expedite your climb flight level 180.
Well, I'm there. Let's go 18.5. That should shut him up. This is probably when he comes up saying you're 500 feet above your assigned altitude.
Tower 1 Lake Sierra climb and maintain flight level.
Yeah, so it took an extra 340 feet.
Climb and maintain flight level 200 Tower 1 Mike Sierra.
Might request a bit more altitude, maybe up to 30,000. We'll see what this cloud looks like as we get up there. Because just staring at grey for 3 hours is going to be a bit boring. Not that this is boring of anyway. Gallons per hour back to 50. Just get an extra half hour, 40 minutes of flight time just in case. I think we should be okay, but I really don't want to run out of fuel. That would be bad. So we're at 20,000, we're in the soup, so I'm gonna have to request more altitude to get above this. We'll go up to 30. We'll also get way more fuel efficiency up there as well.
1 Mike Sierra. Request flight level tree 00.
Delta 1 Mike Sierra, climb and maintain flight level 280. Expect flight level tree 00.
Climb and maintain flight level 280. Expect flight level tree 00. Daughter 1 Mike Sierra.
These are some pretty thick clouds. We entered them at what, about 18,000, maybe just around there. And we're currently passing or coming up on 23,000 and we're still in them. Starting to see a bit more shine from the sun, so I guess we're getting up towards the top of them. Starting to see the top of clouds now, and what we're at 25,000 thereabouts at the top of the clouds. Aha, daylight. So yeah, we're battling a 46 knot kind of head-on crosswind, which really sucks. Ground speed of 195 knots. That should go up a little bit when we level off though.
Climb and maintain flight level 300, Daughter 1 Mike Sierra.
pretty serious cloud cover there, really, when you think about the clouds coming up to like 28,000 feet. So our ETA there has come down to 5:30 and it's still coming down a little bit. So time's now 10 to 2. So yeah, that equals out about 3.5 hours, which is kind of what we expected. Plus a little bit of extra time for this kind of head-on crosswind that we're getting at the moment. Well, I am hoping that this does turn around as we head south, as that was kind of what I was expecting. Landing lights off as we're well above 10,000. I wanted to keep them on as we're going up through the clouds, but no need for them there. Just getting all of the stuff ready for when we get there, even though we're a while away, just making sure it's all in there. Oh, that's 11, well, it shouldn't be right. I think 28 was our assigned runway, but we can change it over when we get there, or when we're given our assigned approach, just in case the winds are a bit backwards. Starting to get a bit rock and rolly here. She is certainly getting kicked around there. It's almost like being in a tumble dryer. wouldn't be surprised if the autopilot doesn't get kicked off with all of this rocking about. It's starting to get a little bit extreme. So we're definitely kind of leaving one weather system behind here, which I think is what we're getting kicked about of. We're heading into what looks like another front. So I think that's why we've got quite turbulent air as we're going across the weather front. Hopefully as we get past this we'll start seeing the wind direction change.
1 Mike Sierra, contact Gander Center on 128 decimal tree 25. Good day.
Going to 128 decimal tree 25 Daher, 1 Mike Sierra. Gander Center Daher, November 171 Mike Sierra, flight level tree 00.
Daher, November 171 Mike Sierra, Gander Center. Continue as planned.
Cool. So a little check-in there. Let's just do a quick update of where we are. So coming off the south tip of Greenland now, that's kind of just behind us. 30,000 feet, doing 194 knots indicated. Finally back up above 300 knots ground speed, which is bloody fantastic. That kind of headwind, now very much a side wind turning almost towards tail. And that's dropped from 30 to 40 knots down to 10 knots. So we're in much smoother air. There's a plane over there, contrailing. Hello, plane. Is he showing up? Let's see who he is. Let's go to your favourite plane finder app. Let's have a look. Who could he be? So I'm thinking that's a Delta A330 flying from Paris to Minneapolis. Flight number DAL233. I think he's in about our airspace at the moment, so yeah, he's the only one kind of local to where we are, and he'll be flying in behind us. Hello, Delta Airlines. How you doing today? That's always fun seeing other planes. As we start flying further south, we'll cross the main kind of air corridor from Europe to America, and I think we'll start seeing a lot more traffic. You don't really, well, you get some, but a way kind of lower percentage of planes flying up north of Greenland. A lot of them kind of fly south of Greenland. But yeah, we should definitely start seeing more contrails soon. I wonder if we're contrailing. I don't think we are. Let's have a look. I guess we're not quite high enough to contrail. But the good news is the turbulence has steadied out. Our speed's gone up. Well, current ETA is 10 minutes past 5. It's currently 20 minutes past 2. So yeah, that puts us well within the realms of the fuel that we've got. Burning 50 gallons per hour. Got what, 240? Yep, 240 gallons remaining. So we've got way more than enough to get kind of where we need to be. So that's really cool. Happy about that. As I said when we took off, I was expecting the wind to turn into a tailwind. It is starting to turn towards tail now. I was expecting more of a dramatic swing, but is what it is. You know, it's no longer hindering us, and it's also dropped to a point where our ground speed has gone from about 260 up to 310. So we're back to zipping along rather than fighting the wind to get to where we need to be. So that's all a positive. But I'm gonna go back to the in-flight movie. Talk again soon. So as we'll see there, that has actually swung quite dramatically just now, from a wind coming in from the left at between 10 and 20 knots to a tailwind coming in straight from behind at almost 0 knots. And now it's swinging over to a crosswind from the right, so it's almost done a complete 180 in the space of about 5 minutes, which is really crazy. And hopefully that'll stay as a tailwind and start building up speed, and then that'll give us even more ground speed, and then we'll get there even faster, which would be amazing.
Sierra contact Gander Center on 124.725. Good day.
124.725 for Daughter 1 Mike Sierra.
So we're handing off from Gardner Center to Gardner Center. Or Gander Center.
Daughter November 171 Mike Sierra flight level tree 00.
Daughter November 171 Mike Sierra Gander Center. Continue as planned.
Okie dokie. I think that's more of a wake-up call. Are you still alive? So just another... Been watching the wind here. It's increasing to 20 knots from almost direct right. Still towards... slightly more towards the tail than the nose, which is something. Ground speed's increased to 319 knots, which is quite cool, and it's brought our ETA down another 10 minutes. I'd be happier if this was more of a direct tailwind. I wasn't expecting to swing quite so much onto the right wing, but we'll keep an eye on it, and hopefully, excuse me, got hiccups, it doesn't become a another 30 knot headwind, because that would really suck. starting to get battered about here. That wind speed's picking up. 30 gusting to almost 40 knots from the right. And that's really starting to slap us about a bit. Really like it if that started turning more towards a tailwind though, because that would really help. Hey Sentry, how you doing there? You alright? It is very bumpy today, yeah. It's a little bit less bumpy than when we were leaving Greenland, but it seems to be picking up. We did have a crosswind from the left up at nearly 40 knots, and then it swung a complete 180, and now it's coming from the right there at nearly 40 knots. It's kind of hovering around 30 knots at the moment. But yeah, it's been a really bumpy flight so far. I think we're getting up towards the halfway point of the flight, which is quite cool. So kind of halfway to St. John's in Canada and piling along. And how are you doing today, pal? Haha, yeah, you could say that. Mainly just kind of keeping an eye that the autopilot doesn't get upset and turn itself off, but that's doing a pretty decent job of keeping me straight and level at the moment and on course. Got some traffic to the front. Contrails visible. We're starting to get into that kind of area of airspace which is the main crossing from Europe to the Americas. Well, this guy's heading out at the moment, so he's going away from the USA towards Europe. I'm just trying to see what flight he could be. So I'm not seeing any eastbound flights, or is that westbound? Is that south? Yeah, that is, in fact, yeah, that is eastbound, isn't it? Let's turn us to north up. So if that's north, yeah, that's east, so there's someone buggering off back to Europe. Maybe a player aircraft. It's not real world, because in this part of the airspace where I am there's only 3 aircraft heading west. There's two SAS Scandinavian Airlines aircraft next to each other, both heading to Nuuk, and there's a Delta off to Minneapolis that we saw earlier still over that way, but there's nothing heading east, so disappear now. So that could have been a player. I guess it's hard to know. Ah, no, there he is. He's come back again. Trying to see if I can hear him out there. Going over to this side now. See anything out there unless he's really high, really low, or just not got his lights on. He's dropped me off a left wing there now, while looking at that. Got a dot there. I'm not sure if that could be him or if that's just a star or something that we're seeing. Not seeing anybody out there, unfortunately. Yeah, well. Yeah, thank God it's Friday. Roll on the weekend. Have you got any plans for your weekend there, Sentry? Yeah, so Sentry just said, I imagine these are the tougher flights to get through till you hit the major population densities. They're definitely the longer flights, because it's all just kind of water that you're looking at. There's nothing really much to talk about other than certain cloud formations or the amount of rain that you see. But yeah, I mean, when we get to St. John's, you know, obviously we're on kind of the east coast of Canada, then it's going to be the east coast of North America down through New York, Washington, down into Florida, Miami. Then we've got really interesting flights into the Bahamas, Cuba. So yeah, there'll be loads more interesting things to see and talk about and do, and much more kind of traffic to kind of fly around and manage and stuff like that. But yeah, these parts are just the getting there parts. Yeah, and then kind of going down South America and then back up South America and back into North America. That'll be really interesting, flying across Alaska. But then one thing I need to try and figure out is kind of flying times, like times when I can fly when I get to the west of Alaska, because when it's daylight where I am, it's nighttime over there. So do I fly kind of at weird times in the morning of the night to keep like real world time and weather and stuff like that, or do I make the decision to fly when I can, but then adjust the time of day in game? I've not really kind of come to that yet. I guess I'll have to cross that bridge when I get to it and see if there are times I can, you know, kind of fly early in the morning or late at night and do shorter hops. You know, maybe like an hour hop or something down through Japan and into China and stuff like that. But yeah, I'll have to play that all by ear when that comes around. Right, okay, get a fly in this weekend. Is that IRL or in sim? Was it yourself that was saying that your missus works in air traffic control? Yeah, I think that's a good idea. It's kind of the idea I've got in my own mind is try and stick to real world time as much as I can. I mean, even I know kind of flying at night presents its own challenges, you know, kind of flying IFR that way. I think that could be quite cool, doing some night flights, but it doesn't really give people much to look at unless you're kind of over densely populated areas and there's really nice city lights and stuff to look at. IRL, I wish. Yeah, you're not the only one there, although I have been really lucky to kind of fly in quite a few planes over the years, but I think I've thrown up in about every plane I've ever sat in. I'm trying to think if there's any planes I haven't thrown up in. Maybe a TriStar, L1011 TriStar. Flew in that a couple of times to the Falklands and back. Flew in a DC-10 didn't think I threw up in that one either. I had quite nice American air hostesses kind of saying to us when we're flying around in the DC-10. That was out to the Middle East. Thrown up in Bulldogs, Tutors, Vikings, thrown up in a Hercules, thrown up in Chinooks. Yeah, when I was in the military I had a nickname of Huey for a while, because you guarantee every time I sat in a plane I'd throw up. But don't get that sensation when you're flying in flight sims, so that's handy. Just have a quick look, see if I can find some photos of back in the day. So have a look. Okay, that's quite cool. So you have had some experience in lighter aircraft. Yeah, there's a. That might kind of show up, but there's a picture of myself in the back of a Hercules that was flying to Kecskemét in Hungary. That was some time ago. Let's see what else we've got here. Bit of a rubbish pic, this one, a older pic. But yeah, there's a pic of a Hercules cockpit. I was sat in the jump seat at the back, coming into land. That was actually at RAF Lucas on our way back. These are all kind of lower resolutions. I got a picture of landing. Kind of sat down next to the, I guess, the co-pilot. Kind of watching out the windows we came into land was quite cool. Got to sit in a MiG-29 once upon a time when we were in Hungary as well. An airbase called Kecskemét, which was quite cool. That was a MiG-29A. So that was a cool experience, getting to sit in one of those in real life and have a look around. Another Hercules pick. This one's a C-130J, so a kind of newer variant, much more kind of glass cockpit. heads-up displays and all that type of stuff going on. Kind of a snazzy cockpit to be up in. I was in for 10 years in the Air Force. My kind of main job was supply and logistics, but during kind of certain operations like Optalic and Herrick, I worked doing kind of like asset tracking and moving kind of classified data around the world where it needed to go to, and making sure it was safe and secure. And you kind of have the responsibility that if something happens, like, you know, the aircraft's going to crash, or if you're going, you know, divert somewhere that's unsafe, you had to destroy the equipment. So that was an interesting job to have at the time. So many blooming photos scattered about. This one's quite large. Let's see what's on the side. Yeah, gliding in a Viking glider, kind of much different to being in the bigger stuff, but that was quite cool. I enjoy gliding, it's a brilliant experience, but again, I think I've thrown up in every glider I've ever been in, because it's quite a harsh experience, kind of being thrown around in a glider. Yeah, that's a Viking glider, flying out of near Arbroath in Scotland. When I was based up at Lucas, I kind of volunteered as a cadet instructor for a while, and one of the benefits was getting to go flying along with the cadets, which was quite cool. I've got a lot of other photos, but they're all kind of physical rather than digital. So yeah, from a time before kind of digital cameras were very popular. got things like Brintel helicopters. Been flying around in those a little bit. That was quite cool. Yeah, I mean, the best thing about gliding over kind of regular flying is just it's a lot cheaper. It's, yeah, you know, there's very little fuel cost, and there's lots of gliding clubs and stuff where you can fly for nearly half the cost of what you would in powered aircraft. And as a flying experience, it's fantastic. I mean, what's involved in actually keeping yourself in the air is really cool. You know, it's not just kind of like push the throttles forward and bang, you're flying. You know, there's a lot of thought involved in, you know, kind of where we, you know, flying to, is the thermals, can we stay airborne? You know, it's quite a cool experience. So we'll find a the screen. There we go. Another picture of the Brintel cockpit. Brintel's kind of like a big Sea King, kind of like a stretch Sea King type helicopter, but they used them a lot in the Falklands to kind of move people about the islands. See if I can find a picture of the outside of one. So we'll put this up there and then fit you to screen. There we go. So there's kind of a Brintel type helicopter. That was landing on Saunders Island, where we all went go see some penguins and other kind of things to go look at, which was quite cool. Doing his takey offs and stuff. Thinking back at it though, I was really thankful for the career I had in the Air Force. You know, I was in for 10 years until I kind of buggered myself to a point where I couldn't really stay in anymore. I was classed as kind of unfit. I wanted to sign on and do an extra few years, but unfortunately, because of my fitness classification due to injuries, they didn't allow it, and I came out at the 10-year point, which was 9 + 1 for the Queen, because I joined as a young'un. Yeah, I mean, it is. You know, it would have been great to stay in, but I don't. It's a really weird thing to say, but I don't regret anything. You know, I came out, found my feet, met my partner Sam, had 3 amazing kids. You know, so that's been really cool. You know, I do a job I enjoy at the moment. I'd never really kind of tell my bosses that, but I do enjoy what I do at the moment. So that, you know, that's not bad. But yeah, I just mainly work for money, so I can kind of treat the kids and do nice things. I think this weekend I'm actually going to be taking them to a local air museum. Go and see some planes for the day and have a look about. Give them something to do. My eldest Matthew, he's 10. He's the one that's kind of got me back doing YouTubey type stuff. But he's really starting to get into planes and aviation and stuff like that. So, you know, I want to do my best to kind of foster that in him, and you know, kind of promote that interest. So he's got something that he's, you know, that he enjoys and stuff like that. My youngest, Thomas, is widely into trains. He's just crazy about trains. So we end up kind of going to train museums every other weekend, so we can go and have a ride on a steam train and walk around, and that's like his favourite thing in the world. Our middle boy, he's really cool as well. He just likes playing on Xboxes and PlayStations and staying in all the time. So he's quite easy to please as well. So, you know, he's more than happy just to sit there and play, you know, kind of Fortnite or Predator Hunting Grounds or something like that. And that keeps him amused for hours on end. Well, I think in life, you know, there's certain things you have to do. You know, you have to do a job, or, you know, kind of earn a living. Is something that's always kind of really been pushed into me, and that I just, you know, I wouldn't feel right not working and you know, doing things to support the family. Bloody hell, someone's gone ripping past me, ripping past there. It might have been some kind of server desync on him, I guess. See his contrails out there. Someone way off in the distance over there contrailing, which is cool. But yeah, I like what I do. I think if you don't like what you do, then, you know, you need to change it and find something that you do like. But I know in life sometimes that's just not possible, and you know, sometimes you kind of get stuck into doing what you're doing, and it's hard to get out of that kind of hole. Because I know I've kind of been there myself in the past. Yeah, I think I've been quite lucky. You know, I've always had good people kind of supporting me and point me in the right directions to do the things I need to. Right, okay, yeah, must be some kind of I don't know if it's network lag, or it's just like it is, you know, kind of like the network or the game's kind of caught up to the traffic in the region. It just like zooms them in rather than like popping them up, so you see them doing like Mach 2 across the map to where they are in real time, or close to where they are in real time. Weird sort of thing, but I think we'll start seeing more and more traffic kind of appearing on the map. I wish that you could see traffic when you zoom out further than 50 nautical miles, but I guess that could probably fill the screen up quite quick with traffic contacts. But yeah, that turbulence has calmed right down. Everything's smoothed out quite well. Not happy with the wind. That's kind of, it's accelerated up to 60 knots and almost become a headwind, or I mean, it's still coming in much more from the side, but slightly more to the front than from the back. doing 332 knots ground speed, which is bloody fantastic at the moment as well. I can't complain about that. So yeah, everything's kind of cooking along well at the moment. We're doing alright. So let's have a look. So it's 3:15. We've got an ETA of 5. So that's 2 hours of flight time. We're burning 50 gallons an hour. And we've got, let's see, 97 equals 194 gallons of fuel remaining. So yeah, at current rate we've got 3 hours of flight time with a bit spare. Well, nearly 4, well 3.8, so nearly 4 hours. Another aircraft off front there just popped in. And you see he's just popped in because his contrail's just started. Guess just have a look on our flight finder. It's going to be quite difficult to tell which aircraft is which at the moment because I don't really know our current position in the airspace. And there's a lot of traffic heading east to west in this region at the moment. That's interesting. Now he's flicked back to going east, or is that west? North. So if that's north, east, south, west. Yeah, because we're heading south. Yeah, weird one. Yeah, so we should be heading south west is our track. So yeah, he would be heading west. I'm getting myself all turned around now. I'm like, bleh. Oh, there's another one popped in. Hello. So there's no real-world aircraft at the moment heading east in our airspace. From what I can see on Flight Tracker, everything's heading west. Although he is turning to go, I guess, what is west? Let's make this easier. We'll go north up. So if that's north, that's east. So they're both heading east. I'm heading west. Although it does look as though they're turning around again now. So God only knows what's going on with them. The alien invasion has begun. I don't think you're wrong. That is being a bit weird. Unless they're lining up for a head-on, you know. You never know, ladies and gentlemen. We might see the first ever air-to-air collision in Microsoft Flight Sim from live traffic. They're definitely merging. Can't make out what they are at all, but they're getting awfully close. It looks like he's starting to turn around to go back the other way now, so. Yeah, I'm wondering if that is some kind of server desync where it's kind of catching up and turning them as to where they should be in real world. There is 2 aircraft on a course with that kind of proximity to each other. There's a A330 from Air Transat going from Paris to Montreal. That's flight number Tango Sierra 111. And there's a Lufthansa A330 coming from Frankfurt to St. Louis. And that's flight number Lima Hotel 448. And they should be on about our track. And they've got about a similar kind of separation to those two, maybe a little bit further apart. Everything else in the air at the moment has a fair bit of separation. So I wonder if that could be those two, which is just kind of catching up with where they should be. That there would be the corner of kind of mainland Canada. Or is that? No, I think they might actually be north of our track. Just have a look to see if I recognise that headlamp poking out there. So I'm wondering if that's the northern tip of Newfoundland, which would put us south of that. If it is, then God only knows. There's a couple of United aircraft, or United and a Delta, with about that kind of similar separation. Trying to remember what my track looks like. So I think I come into Newfoundland from the north, kind of west of St. John's, and then we enter into the pattern over to the eastern land. Dogfighting A330s. Yeah. Oh, Jesus, look at our wind speed at the moment. 77 knots. Bonkers. In fact, I'm wondering if those two is United 914 to Washington and Delta 263 to New York. Could well be. If that is Newfoundland, that's up here, and that would kind of ring true as well. don't think this thing shows us our current coordinates in the air. Wouldn't even know how to bring that up, to be honest, to get our own coordinates to do a coordinates check to see where we are, but so be it. Bloody wind speed picking up again, 84 knots. That's bonkers. It's funny though how I've gone from kind of 30 knots and being kicked around like a football to 80 knots, and we're almost completely smooth and level. Weird. I've just had a complete brain fart. Because before, when I was trying to figure out which way's east and west, got it right there on my bloody HSI compass rose. Honestly, my brain will switch on at some point today. So our track is just south of, or just west of south. Oh. Yeah, or maybe the wind's just kind of like taking it and it's like, go that way. I've been waiting years for your brain to switch on. You're not the only one. Just kind of do everything through intuition and feeling rather than thought. It's a much easier way to get through life. Maybe it's like the trains in DCS, where they go so far along the track, and then you see them kind of do a 180 and start heading back the other way. It's not just like they stop and then start going back the other way. The whole train kind of does a 180. It kind of drives back through itself to go back the other way. yeah, go to any map, find a train, whether it's like a electric loco on Caucasus or one of the default trains on like the channel map or something like that, and just follow it for a little while. And it'll only go so far, and then it'll kind of do like a 180 and drive back over itself and go back the other way. It's a really weird thing to see, but there's certain points on the map where I guess they just won't go any further, they won't do anything else, so they just kind of turn about and go back the other way. I should have a DCS stream up later on tonight, I hope. Going to be flying some more World War II stuff with the 504 guys. So once I've landed here, go take a break, have some dinner, and then yeah, I should be flying about in a Mosquito or a Mustang or something like that for a little while. Well, why not join us tonight, Sentry, if you've got time. We will be running it on our kind of public beta server, so it'll be open to join. We'll probably be in a public chat channel on our Discord if you want to come say hi as well. Yeah, more than welcome along if you want to come join in. It's no bother anytime. I don't know if you have our Discord details. They're on our Facebook page, I know that, but I can get them if you need them. Right, okay. Whereabouts in the world are you, Sentry? Midnight. Okay. So I'm just trying to think what timeline that would put you on. So that would be... Crikey, kind of Asia way, I guess. Australia. Okay. Awesome. Well, that's really cool, man. Staying up nearing midnight to watch me scroll past some scenery. Jesus, that says 120 knots wind speed. And our ground speed's actually accelerated to 354 knots. Okay, that doesn't make any sense, but right, I'll take it. Right, okay. Light coding, as in like kind of hack the planet, hack the planet. My older brother is a programmer, and he's like C3PO. You know, he learns languages, no bloody problem at all. And you know, he picks up kind of these different computer programming languages, C++, all that type of stuff. And it's just ridiculous. He picks it up and he can almost like freehand talk in somebody's programming languages, or like freehand type. And it's like, I look at it and it's just lines of gobbledygook. I just can't make sense of it. I mean, I can barely speak English, even though it's my primary language. So trying to learn another language like that, I think, is going to be nigh on impossible. Yeah, I guess that kind of makes sense. Yeah. I think I'm just too dumb. need to read one of those like computer scripting for dummies type books, but I think even that would probably be a bit too confusing. Did it do a book that's lower than for dummies? I like that. Sentry there just said, I don't know many languages, but I can make a mess in every one that I do know. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, and I guess that's kind of good advice in life, really, isn't it? You know, if you're doing something that you want to do, then you'll always be motivated to learn it and do better at it. But I guess, yeah, maybe it's just something I've not ever really been kind of driven to do, is learning languages, especially kind of programmer languages and syntax and stuff like that. I remember when I was in school, they tried to teach us some coding, and one of the projects was to make Bomberman, like a 8-bit kind of version of Bomberman, and that was kind of interesting, but none of it ever really stuck. So what is it that you're coding at the moment then, Sentry? Or what is it that you're trying to create? Right, okay, that's quite cool. What if we source Android app? Joystick Profile Manager. It's an interesting one. It's a good friend of mine called Steve, or Zorlak is his kind of online nickname. He designed Touch Buddy, which was a kind of like an assist thing for lock-on back in the day. So you'd have like a touch screen with lots of little buttons on, and you press it and it does what it needs to. But I think they've kind of expanded into other things now, or there's other versions of it come out which are bigger and better. Yeah. I quite often get that myself when I'm flying. You know, kind of getting back into flying after nearly a year's absence in DCS. Then you literally spend the first kind of half hour just sat in the plane staring at it going, how do I turn it on? Which button have I got set for what? I don't know what I'm doing. So we're starting to get a bit more traffic about us. We've got one aircraft that's just done another 180 in front of us. I'm wondering if that's his actual track or...
Flight level 400, descending 10,000 feet. Qatari 743 Gander Center, continue as planned.
Cool. So Qatar 743. Let's see if we can find him on the map. So if I can find a Qatar, that might give me an idea of where I am. Ah, there he is. I've got Qatar 763, which is a 777 to Montreal. I'm looking for 743. I wonder if I can do. So it should be QR743, QR743. Here we go, from Doha to Boston. Let's see where he is in the world. Look, he's just north of Newfoundland, following a DHL and an Emirates. So if that's that dude, because he's at the trail of 2, so that would make that guy ahead of us, an Emirates 777 to Boston, and then the Qatar A350, which is maybe what that one is, and he's off to Boston. And there would be one more ahead of them, which is an Emirates A330 to Cincinnati. He would be the lead of the 3, but I guess he'd be kind of over there somewhere. That's if it is indeed those. Trying to see where we are. Aha! Got some geography. So yes, that would actually put us in north of 2DAP. You see that big inlet there is the northern edge of Newfoundland. So yeah, that would indeed be the Qatar A350 and Emirates 777. So that's really cool. That's I guess that's those two guys, but I guess they've kind of got ahead now. Or both of them. Ah, yes. Yeah, there they are, the two of them. Should be one more aircraft, but I think he's well ahead of these two. Awesomes. Okay, that's a good idea. So would that actually put the kneeboard in game, or is that like a kneeboard you'd have on your phone that you can kind of reference to into DCS? I mean, I guess it'd be quite difficult to get a mobile application to import or export from DCS, or is that all the coding that you're doing at the moment in order to make that happen?
Qatari 743 traffic is 9 o'clock 4 miles at flight level tree 60 generic. Report them in sight. Dollar 1 Mike Sierra contact Gander Center on 1 tree 2.1. Good day.
Looks like we've got a handoff.
Qatari 743 have the generic in sight.
1 tree 2.1 for Daher 1 Mike Sierra. Gander Center Daher November 171 Mike Sierra flight level tree 00.
Daher November 171 Mike Sierra Gander Center. Continue to Tunup as planned.
Yeah, so I found Qatar 763. That's was it 763 that was reporting on the last one there? Oh, 743. Yeah, so that's the guy that's ahead. But there's two other Qatar aircraft coming in. There's a 777 to Montreal and a A350 to Philadelphia. And the A350 is actually kind of running right alongside an A380 going to New York. So I wonder if that could be those two running right next door to each other. That might make a little bit more sense. Sorry, just sneezing my brains out here. Getting a bit more of a picture here looking at the flight map. So there's two aircraft almost right on top of each other. There's the Emirates A380 at 39,200 and there's the Qatar A350 at 37. They're right next to each other. They're almost overlapping on the flight map. And then to the south of them is a Air Transat A330 to Montreal. So I'm wondering if that's what these guys are, because they have a very similar kind of flight profile on the flight map now, just east of Newfoundland. And then just yeah, so he's just ahead of me on the left, so interesting. Okay, that's quite cool. Just looking at the live traffic around me, just trying to understand what these contacts are. In fact, okay, so two there. So that guy there could actually be a United 777 going to Washington, and then the guy behind him will be the A330 to Montreal. And then those two guys there will be the Qatar, which has just overtaken the A380, so that's the Qatar A350 to Philadelphia, and then just behind him now is the A380 going to New York. Yeah, the Qatar's got a 10 knot overtake. And then just south of those is actually a United States Navy C-130 that's heading out east over Newfoundland as well. And there'll be another aircraft behind us, kind of around here somewhere, if I could zoom out a bit further, which would be a Tunisian Airways, Tunis Air A330 to Montreal as well. So very busy airspace around us at the moment, which is quite cool. Ah, okay, I get your Sentry. So the kneeboard stuff's on PC and then the Android app's something different. Okay, sorry man, I got myself confused there. Oh, Jesus, that wasn't me. I didn't touch anything. A bit of a kick from some turbulent air there. Just I looked out the left window at what I believe would be, so if that's those there to the south, I guess that could be the Transat Air Transat A330 that's coming up on us there now. He's at 40,000 feet doing 390 knots. Those other two have buggered off into the distance. I guess they've been kind of despawned or de-rendered. And soon, maybe coming across our screen, we might have about 5 or 6 aircraft which are to our south in our direction of travel. Egypt Air, Lufthansa, a British Airways 777 and another Qatar A350, followed by a Swiss Air A330. A330s are really bloody popular on this route. It's like every other aircraft I'm looking at is an A330. Things could start to get a bit busy around here. Kind of got to feel sorry for those guys if they are indeed facing 156 knot headwind. I mean, that's really got to put a bit of a damper on their overall speed. See if we can zoom in a bit further on. Well, he's got a red nose in game and a gold belly. Does that almost look like a 747 in sim? Got a very kind of 747 looking profile to it. stop contrailing now as well. Yeah, it still blows me away with how good it looks as well. You know, it's just... I know that DCS has an end goal of having a world map like Microsoft Flight Sim. So you can fly kind of anywhere in the world, and, you know, rather than having, you know, kind of like limited smaller maps, you can, you know, take off in, I don't know, England and go and bomb something in Iraq and then fly back again. That was on the kind of like end goals for the sim, I guess, in however many years it takes them to get there. But when you look at the technology in Microsoft Flight Sim 2020, you have to wonder how far away that's going to be. I know that in Microsoft Flight Sim, when you get really down close to the ground in some places, it can look a bit rough, whereas in DCS a lot of it is kind of undone, so when you're at low altitude it looks better, but for the most part Microsoft Flight Sim, the world does look absolutely amazing. ED does have a lot of goals. You're not wrong about that. But I guess it is good to have stretch goals and things to aim for, even though it might take you another kind of 2-3 decades to get there. I mean, you know, by the time that they've got the world map, I'll probably be in my grave and it'll be me kids that are playing it, or their kids. But you know, it'd be nice if they get there one day. Soon we might start getting our arrival information for St. John's, even though we are about 50 minutes out from starting our approach and landing. Yeah, but I think one of the limiting factors in DCS is the combined arm stuff. So the ground textures, ground resolution has to be good enough that if you're in a tank or in a ground vehicle and you're doing stuff, you know, kind of on the ground, it needs to look good to do that. Whereas obviously in Microsoft Flight Sim, everything is just up in the air. There's no ground vehicles or ground combat or anything like that going on. yeah, but hey, the Earth is flat Earth, man. Maybe ED is just proving that the Earth is flat, and all of a sudden I've lost about 4,000 subscribers. No, just to confirm, I do not believe the Earth is flat. I think anybody that does believe the Earth is flat needs to have their brain checked. But yeah, you are right that they need to learn to put a bit of curvature in there. me. Yeah, unless there's some developer in ED that is a flat earther, and that's their conspiracy man. That's their way of making a point. I mean, how dumb do you have to be to think that the Earth is flat? I mean, I know I probably don't have the greatest IQ in the world, but I mean, for someone to genuinely believe that the Earth is flat, they really have to be struggling in the brains department. And if that offends anybody, good. If you think the Earth is flat, you kind of deserve to be offended. Yeah, that is unfortunately very true. Although, didn't the Flat Earth Society once put out a post saying that they have members all around the world? I mean, must resist, must resist. I know it's a really dangerous thing to get into, but the topic of he, she, him, them, it's another kind of very weird thing, because me growing up, none of that ever existed. It was kind of always very black and white, especially in kind of my world, that, you know, if you're a him, you've got a penis. If you're a she, you don't. And I know that, you know, genetically, biologically, there are people out there that are born with both, you know, like hermaphrodites and stuff like that. They get to choose. That's great. But the whole thing of people these days, you know, kind of giving their children like gender neutral names, and, you know, they don't want to sex their children after they're born. I'm kind of like, why not, you know, give them the choice? You know, it's a very rocky slope to go down as well, because there is a lot of snowflakes out there that like to get very offended by stuff like that. And it's a dangerous thing to almost talk about these days as well, isn't it? Because, I mean, the way people get offended by everything, it's almost fanatical. And if you have an opposing point of view, like, you know, if you're a person that believes in scientific fact rather than people's opinions, then you can quite quickly be an outspoken and almost treat like you're a public enemy. To almost a point where people that have mainline view, or say traditional rather than mainline views, can almost be persecuted for having those views these days. It's ridiculous. And unfortunately, that is very much the case. I mean, it's like, was it Orson Welles, like 1982 and stuff like that, is unfortunately becoming very true very quickly. Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more there, Century, really, about that. I wouldn't say it's a very confusing world that we live in. I think it's fair to say it's a very confused world that we live in. And there's a lot of people out there that aren't really kind of doing anything to help with that confusion. . 1984, yeah, sorry. Clown world. Although I know from my own personal experiences in life as well that when the chips are down and, you know, when it all goes to shit, none of that matters at all. And even though people like to pretend it matters, when the truth comes down to it, like, say, for instance, you know, certain Russian leader decides that he wants to unleash instant sunshine over the globe, then all of this he, him, she, shim thing is just gonna evaporate overnight, and it's just gonna become mute. And, you know, it seems like there's no else to argue about, so we're just gonna argue about gender and you know, kind of political bollocks. Yeah, it's a ridiculous thing. Like you said there, you know, you start talking about politics and you get in trouble. But it shouldn't be that way. You know, it should be open for discussion, and there shouldn't be a taboo over it. And, you know, it's like, if you want to be inclusive, then you have to include everybody's points of view and be open to everybody's points of view, rather than being, you know, oh, you don't agree with our mindset, you've got a closed point of view. Well, no, by having that point of view, you've got a closed point of view. You know, you're not accepting my beliefs. You know, it's just yeah, it's a rabbit hole you could fall into, and I could talk for hours and hours about it, but I'll probably end up offending everybody. You know, I honestly, like, truly hand on heart believe that everybody has a choice, but I just don't think that they should force that choice onto others, or put people into a position where they have to accept those choices freely. You know, that's a personal choice, that's for you, that's great. I won't say anything else about it, but it may be something that I don't agree with, but it's not up to you to force me to agree with it. I kind of hope that makes sense. Yeah, luxury beliefs. Maybe I should just put myself on mute for a few minutes before YouTube just decides to turn me off. I think, honestly, Sentry, that's hitting the nail on the head. You know, yeah, it really is kind of like a new religion. You know, these are the new beliefs that you have to follow, and if you don't follow these beliefs, you're a heretic and you need to be burnt. Yeet tube. Yeah, never to be seen again. I don't know, maybe I'm just old and stuck in my ways. But the good news is, we can see land. Yeah, not too far away from landing. You know what, I might actually request a descent 10,000 feet. Let's request a descent back down to what we had planned at 20,000 feet.
Gander Center, Daher 1 Mike Sierra. Request flight level 200.
Daher 1 Mike Sierra, descend and maintain flight level 200.
Yay!
Descend and maintain flight level 200 Daher 1 Mike Sierra.
Went a bit too far. Yeah. The information generation. Now here's a thing for discussion. What would you class a millennial be? Because to me, a millennial was always someone that was born in the 2000s. But now apparently the millennials are saying that they're like Generation X or some bollocks or something different, and the people who started working in the 2000s are the millennials. I think it's just mainly because they didn't like the tag millennial. But that's another thing that's kind of got me right confused about all of these different names for the generations, you know. Yeah. Well, I don't think we're too far away at the moment. So at the moment it's 16:20 UTC, so 20 past 4, and our landing's at 16:57 as it stands at the moment. So yeah, hey, you might get to see the approach at least. Yeah, it's one thing that does tickle me as well with all of that is Elon Musk buying Twitter because he wants to have more open free speech and stuff like that, and then he's fired, was it like 11,000 people or something that he fired, which I guess were all of the people that were suppressing free speech on Twitter. That is going to end up being a bonfire. I can see it now. So apparently millennials are from before 2000. I'm pretty sure someone that was early 90s is classed as a millennial. To me that makes no sense though. I mean, you know, surely a millennial would be someone that was born in the millennium, kind of like the early 2000s. You know, like the generation that currently want everything done for them and don't want to do anything for themselves, and then complain like crazy when they do have to do something for themselves. 50% of the staff. Yeah. Well, I was born in the very early 80s, so I don't know what that makes me. You think he was doing it largely because he was going into a known hostile environment? Yeah. You think Elon Musk just like the type of person that likes hostility and getting into fights and arguments with people? Yeah, I'd agree with that statement as well. I mean, you just have to look at how they've handled certain celebrity accounts over the past year as well. Yeah, I think so. Maybe we need to start an online petition that millennials should officially be the people who were born around the turn of the millennium. The old people fighting back. What on earth is a zoomer? I've never heard of that one before. Is that kids that run around like their hair's on fire or something? Zoomers. When do they kick in? 2010? Yeah, well, why not? Do it per decade. Although, should a generation be from the age when that generation start having kids, like their kids are the next generation as such, rather than being like a decade? So say like every 20 years there's a new generation, because that is, I guess, the mean of when people start having the babies and stuff. Zoomers are the current batch, right? Okay. Where does Zoomers come from then? I mean, that's a really odd one. Zoomers. Is that because they're always in a hurry to go and kill themselves? Or do something stupid? Gen Y, Gen X, Gen Z. Yeah. Ah, Z for Zoomers. Right, okay. Can we not just call them Generation Lazy? Generation upset because their makers go to school for more than 4 hours? Okay, a play on boomers. Okay. Starting to get a numb ass. Gotten scary plane coming out. Let's see what he is. So I guess that's Gander Airport down there to our right. And there's no aircraft currently anywhere near there. So I wonder if that's a player that's down there, flying around Gander. Someone crying that they had to work a 25-hour week. Jesus, I do a 40-hour week. Oh my god, I had to get out of bed before 11 AM. I'm so upset. Honestly, I mean, it's like schools near us. It's like they only do like 4 or 5 hours a day. And it's like, oh, we can't do a traditional school day because the kids get too fatigued and they stop learning, so we have shorter school days so they can take more in when they are in school. And you're just like, bollocks. You know, you should be going to school to learn life skills, and part of life skills is doing a full day. Surprising that. So it's like, I don't know what that aircraft there is. That's not reporting in real world, so I think that might be a player. But that aircraft down there is a United 767 going to Washington from Geneva, which is quite cool. That's United Airlines 975. Would be nice if you could pull these blinds down so that you get a bit more kind of coverage from the sun, because it does work quite well when you're sun blind. Unfortunately, no, and I think that's why kids that are kind of getting to working age now are having such a hard time with stress and anxieties and all that type of stuff, because school has done absolutely nothing to prepare them for the real world, you know, for actually kind of getting a job and looking after themselves and doing stuff like that. And it's weird, but I mean, school teaches you lots of skills, maths, English, history, stuff like that, but they never really do much to teach life skills and how to actually, you know, kind of take care of yourself and be human and do real kind of things. Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, you might be right there as well, especially the way that the economy's tanking and certain kind of dictators in the world are kind of losing their minds and becoming crackpots with their finger on a whole bunch of instant sunshine as well. And it was on the news earlier today that the Russians have retreated out of one of the Ukrainian cities. I think it was like what was called Krapov, something like that. Kherson. So Russians have lost a Ukrainian city, and it's shit like that makes you go, well, if they're starting to lose ground and starting to lose major ground, are they not just going to go, well, it's time for the final solution? You know, it's yeah, I don't know. It is a really worrying time when you don't know what frame of mind someone that's in charge of a country and a lot of large bombs is in. Yeah, that is very true as well. That used to be the job of parents to prepare their kids for real life, and that is very true. But yeah, sometimes that's a difficult lesson to get across as well, you know, especially from my own experiences, because kids these days, I guess it was the same when we were kids as well, maybe, is that you never really listen to your parents because you always think they're wrong. and then you become, you know, kind of 25, 30 years old, 40 years old, and you realise that actually your parents were really right, and you should have listened a lot more when you were younger. But I think that's maybe a lesson that all kids kind of go through. So about half an hour from landing, 2 hours of fuel left. I might push this up to about 60 gallons per hour just to get a bit more speed on, bring our ETA down a little bit. Oh, talking about kids. Hello Matthew, how are you doing today, buddy? How was school? That's good, buddy. I'm glad that you had a good day. So just to let you know what's going on here, we're over Newfoundland, which is an island, well, kind of an island, rather like a really extremely large headland off the east coast of Canada. We're about half an hour from landing in St. John's, which is the easternmost city in Canada. Does he talk to us? Oh no, United 975. Okie dokie. So yeah, in about half an hour or so we should be landing at St. John's, which would be quite cool. Currently flying 20,000 feet, got a ground speed of about 300 knots. Still got a pretty strong headwind at 87 knots, that's come down from about 120 knots. So yeah, we're doing okay. So that's our turn point into the approach into St. John's, which is over there. Although when we get to, is it Mivad? Yeah, Mivad. We may get a different approach depending on the wind, but looking at the wind direction here, I think our approach and landing is pretty spot on actually. I think that is the runway that we're going to be wanting, so our approach is looking good there. What I do now though is airports. I'm trying to think, so what's it like runway 302? Yeah, 29, so I'll go there. Activate that into nav1. So we get our ILS data when we get there. Although the weather's looking pretty damn clear. Nice and sunny, scattered clouds. I think we'll have plenty of airspace down when we get below the clouds as well, so I don't think we'll be needing ILS, but it's always good to have just in case. Yeah, so Sentry there's just said that corner looks ripe for cutting. And normally I'd agree, but if you don't pass a waypoint, ATC can get rather upset about it. So we have to kind of go very close or in the vicinity of MIVAD, and then we'll probably get our approach instructions and our clearances to advance forthwith. But yeah, I think taking a left-hand turn about 50 nautical miles ago might have saved us about 20 minutes on our approach. Ah, awesome! That's good news, mate. Were you having fun? Is it James's turn on the Xbox now? Is it? Yes, our runway will be back over that way somewhere. Yeah, there's James's turn to play Xbox. Okay. And what's he playing now? Fallout, Fortnite. I'm trying to think what else he's kind of playing at the moment. Subnautica. I know he likes that. We should be starting our turn any time now. Fallout 4. Thought it might be. So fuel is indeed, that's our fuel quantity there, so we've got 64 gallons in the, I believe it's front and rear, I know, yeah it is left and right, so 64 gallons in the left tank, 61 gallons in the right tank, so it doesn't give us a total, which is shit, so you just have to kind of add both of those up, so you know, kind of what, 125 gallons. We're burning, I was burning 60 gallons per hour, but that's moved down to 60, or well I moved that back up to 60. So yeah, that's our fuel fuel burn, fuel quantity on there. So yeah, we've still got loads of fuel left, which is really nice. And autopilot's making our turn for us back to St. John's, which is really cool. Fallout 4 is awesome. I played it many years ago, maybe about kind of, I think not long after it first came out. Was it like 4 years ago that came out now? I guess just a safe turning radius of the aircraft, maybe, for the offset. I guess it's a fly past point rather than a fly to point, so it has to go over MIVAD before it makes its turn. Yeah, not very centric. But we're turning back onto course now. We've got an 83 knot tailwind. Our ground speed is now up to 368 knots, which is insane. That's crazy. That's ripping along.
Porter 281, you are 59er miles west. Descend and maintain 3,000 feet. Keep speed not above 210 knots. Expect ILS runway 29er approach via ONDAP transition. Clear to ONDAP.
So it looks like he's landing St. John's. So our transition, let's have a look.
Descend and maintain 3,000 feet. Keep speed not above 210 knots.
So we've got log do in at the moment, I think for, well, that says ILS 11, but I don't think it is 11, I think it's 29 we'll be aiming for. We'll find out when we get there. Yeah, because 11 would give us a... that'd be landing in the direction that we're on now, which is tailwind. But that is looking as though we're going past and coming back in for a 2-9. So that's ONDAP Tessox. I think that's the approach that we're probably going to get, but we'll keep rocking this and then I'll load it in and do it. We might get it as we get to Pesdo. So as we get to Pesdo, we'll probably get our assigned approach. There we go, we're handing off to
the
center.
075, Daughter 1 Mike Sierra. Gander Center, Daughter, November 171 Mike Sierra, flight level 200.
Daughter November 171 Mike Sierra, Gander Center, continue to Pesdo as planned.
Yeah, so Pesdo, and then we'll probably get our approach. So 10th November 2015, that's... that's pretty cool. 2015, Jesus, that is a long time ago.
Daughter 1 Mike Sierra, descend and maintain 9,000 feet.
9,000, yes ma'am.
Descend and maintain 9,000 feet, Daughter 1 Mike Sierra.
We're going down to below 10,000, we'll turn our landing lights on.
Gander Center Porter 281 is at 14,800 feet, descending 3,000 feet. Porter 281, Gander Center altimeter 29.906, continue to ONDAP as planned.
2996. Wow, that's actually an increase in pressure. considering when we took off in Greenland, it was what, like 2926 or yeah, something like that. So pressure's actually gone up here. It's pretty cool.
Talking to yourself now?
Oh, of course. Hey, Rabbit. That's my favourite pastime, talking to myself. Hey, if I didn't talk to myself, I'd have no conversation at all, you know? You're only jealous because the voices are talking to me.
It's when you start arguing with yourself is when things start really going bad, right?
Yeah, especially when you start losing the argument as well. How are you doing today, pal? You alright?
Yeah, I'm doing okay. Just gonna finish up some work.
Awesome.
Get cleaned up and be back on in a little bit. I saw you in there and I was like, whoa, wait a minute.
Yeah, I'm doing the World Toury bit. I'm literally just coming in for landing at St. John's. Well, kind of not just yet. I'm about 10 minutes from landing, so I'm just kind of coming up to the approach. And I'm going to land, go get something to eat, and then get ready for our World War II night.
Okay. I've put the mission out on the server. I haven't loaded it into the queue yet, so but it's there.
Cool.
Waiting.
Okay. Any idea what server we're taking over?
We'll do the same thing we did last time. We'll take over the Persian Gulf one.
Got you. Okay, cool.
As I say, when I was on earlier and I was putting the mission up onto that server, there wasn't anybody on it, and by the time I got off, there was like one person.
Right. Okay.
And there was maybe half a dozen on the Caucasus, so it's like, nah, just don't mess with the Caucasus.
Yeah, the Caucasus has always been way more popular than.
Oh, there's a ton of people on the stable Caucasus.
Yeah, which is cool. Yeah, I keep thinking about making a transition from beta to stable, just because it's more stable.
So was this thing also this, I guess, this bug or whatever, was it also affecting stable, the AV8?
I think it's just on beta currently with the AV8, because it's when the AV8 dumps fuel, and also the S8 TSM rockets are both causing critical crash on the server.
SATM.
They're Russian smoke rockets, so it's carried on the SU-25, 25T, the Hind. I think versions of the SU-33 and the MiG-29 can carry them as well.
Okay, because I think Russ said he didn't remove those, and I've been working this morning, so I didn't have a chance to.
Yeah, he hasn't. He didn't go into the warehouse stuff because I think it was just going to take too much time. But he went through and changed out the AV8s and put in Yak 52s and Kristen Eagles.
Delta 1 Mike Sierra, you are 6 miles north. Descend and maintain 3,000 feet.
On the Tarawa too?
Not above 210 knots. Expect ILS runway 29er approach by Agora transition.
I was gonna say, because there's a Tarawa on each of those maps that has some AV8s on it.
Right. Okay. I'm not sure about those ones.
Descend and maintain 3,000 feet. Keep speed not above 210 knots. Expect ILS runway.
Yeah, I know
29er approach via
there was
Agora
a
transition.
bug
Prepare to
report
go
the
rock
other
on
day
1
when
Mike
they
Sierra.
first made the 2.8 change with the A4, but the people with the community A4 fixed it really quick.
Right. Okay. That's cool.
I mean, I don't even think it was maybe a day, and they put a posting out, hey, here's an update to fix that.
Okay.
And it had something to do with the TACAN. If you tried using the TACAN in the A4, it would crash. But it was typically, it wasn't a server crash, it was a user machine crash. So
Right. Okay.
well, I should let you get back to landing, and let me go get cleaned up, because that's in 2 hours.
What time are we on now? 4, 5. No, 5 o'clock, 5. Yeah, 2 hours, yeah.
Okay, because yeah, I thought it was like 1 o'clock my time, and it's coming up on 11 now. So
Got you. Cool. That's right. Any idea what you're going to be flying? You jump back in the Mozzie, or are you going to stick to the Thunderbolt or something else?
I don't know. I put some more beacons out there, so I don't know if one or two of us wants to be like pathfinders. Now the beacons I put are in the ports, so
Okay.
the 3 new beacons I've added. There's actually 5 beacons on the channel map now. There's one at Amiens Prison. There's one out at Lille, France, which is far west, and then I put one in each of the major ports: Dunkirk,
Okay.
Calais, and Boulogne.
Awesome.
But there's heavy
Lille.
AA.
Would that be
ports.
near Lille?
Lille, yeah, that's it. The one out west.
I'm just being a dickhead.
I'm not a Frenchie. I don't know how.
Yeah, it's just made me giggle a little bit. Yeah, because I am a dickhead, so No, that's cool, man. But yeah, I mean, you could even have like, I guess, would you need 2 people in the Mozzie, like one person using the radios and stuff, or what do you just kind of flick between like seat 1 and seat 2 to reprogram?
That's typically what I do, but like with a beacon or whatever, you could jump into the second seat, set it, and then
Daher 1 Mike Sierra.
get back in the front seat and take off.
Yeah, I need to get back into kind of that whole stuff, because I know that you talked me through it previously. What was it like last year?
I thought, where did I put it? Last weekend, before we flew, I put a little. It's not in the crew room. Oh, yeah, it is. In crew room on the 6th of November, there's a thing that's it's a little PDF called Mossy Radio. It's a little
Okay.
thing that'll show you how to tune it in. I don't know how to pin this.
6th of November. I've got it. I see it there. I can pin it for you if you need me to.
Oh.
You just on when you hover over the conversation, you get the 3 lines at the top right, and then the top one there's pin. So I've pinned it up for you.
Oh, well, I just pinned it again.
Oh, cool. So it'll be there twice. Yay!
Daher 1 Mike Sierra, you are 12 miles east of St. John's. Contact tower on
At least it didn't show up at the bottom of that like yours did, but
Tower on
See all pin
120.6
messages.
Daher 1 Mike Sierra. Tower Daher, November 171 Mike
Okay.
Sierra, 11 miles east inbound ILS runway 29er approach.
Daher November 171
But yeah, that'll run you through how to set up the
altimeter
radio.
29.905, wind tree 27 at 11. Cleared ILS runway 29er approach.
Cleared ILS runway 29er approach Daher 1 Mike Sierra.
Yay! You've been cleared to land.
Okay, well, I'll let you concentrate and jump off and go get cleaned up.
Oh, that's all good.
Talk to you later then.
Yeah, I'll catch you in a bit, man. Boy, we are well high.
Tower Porter 28111 miles east inbound ILS runway 29er approach. Porter 281 Tower. Altimeter 29.905, wind tree 27 at 11. Cleared ILS runway 29er approach.
Land
Cleared ILS runway 29er approach Porter 281.
Where are you climbing, you daft thing?
Landing gear. Landing gear. Landing gear. Landing gear. Landing gear. Landing gear.
This thing's really not playing game with me at the moment.
Landing gear. Landing gear. Landing gear. Landing gear.
So St. John's is near, well, it's on the Newfoundland island. It's the easternmost kind of side of Canada.
Delta 1 Mike Sierra, wind tree 27 at 11. Clear to land runway 29er. Porter 281, follow the Docker TBM 9 on final. Wind tree 27 at 11.
I really need to try and slow down, but
29er.
I'm way above glide path.
Landing gear. Landing gear.
Clear to land runway 29er Docker 1 Mike Sierra.
Try
Clear
a
to land
touch of
runway
landing flap, see if
29er
that'll
Porter
slow me down.
281.
Landing gear. 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 Landing gear.
Just will not slow down.
Landing gear. Landing gear. Landing gear. Landing gear.
Oh, it's coming down now.
Landing gear. Landing gear. Landing gear. Landing gear.
Okay, so it's captured a glide slope now. GS has turned green. So now that's all ILS controlled. Or autopilot assisted ILS controlled landing. We've got an aircraft right behind us as well, coming in faster than we are, so hopefully we can get on the ground before we're told to spin. Bit of a crosswind here as well.
Porter 281, go around.
Yep, so Porter's been told to go around. That's good because we're in front of him. I'm going to click off the... Jesus!
Going around Porter 281.
Maybe he should have been told to go around much sooner, ATC.
125.075.
Stabilise for God's sake.
Okay. 125.075 Porter 281.
It was a pretty ugly landing, but we're down. We'll have to go all the way up here and then take the taxiway on the left, I guess.
Mike Sierra, turn next taxiway. Delta 1 Mike Sierra, contact ground on 121.9er.
121.9er for Daher 1 Mike Sierra. Ground Daher, November 171 Mike Sierra, request taxi to parking.
Daher November 171 Mike Sierra taxi to general aviation parking via taxiway cross runway 16 Juliet Hotel Golf.
Taxiing to general aviation parking via taxiway cross runway 16 Juliet Hotel Golf Daher 1 Mike Sierra.
So it wants me to taxi back across the runway. Interesting choice. So taxi cross runway 16 to Juliet Hotel Golf. We'll fax taxi along here so we can get out the way for Porter to come in and land. Yeah, a non-consensual rear ending. That was a touch on the close side. I'm amazed he wasn't spun earlier. Especially on considering the speed he was gaining on me. Hello. Almost at takeoff speed there, but you know, not wrong with a fast taxi. Brakes. Overshot that one a little bit. Let's not tell anybody. Nothing to see here, ATC, honestly. Tour to St. John's. Yeah, welcome to St. John's, where we're going to taxi around every taxiway we can find. Yeah, thank God for these taxi ribbons, because they really don't make it easy identifying what taxiways are which by default. I guess if you have the nav maps and airport plates and stuff like that, you'd be able to see which taxiways are what, but I don't, so I have to use the taxiway ribbons. I guess that's Porter on his spin. I see he's probably not happy because he's had to go around. And missed approaches are a pain in the ass. There's a glider there. What on earth? There is an actual glider parked at an airline gate. Good job, Microsoft Flight Sim. You're doing well. It's like we don't have a I don't know, an A330 model in the game, so we're just going to substitute it with a glider. It's got about the same wingspan. So that's brakes on. We'll get this thing shut down. So that's the bleeds off. Turn all the icing stuff off. Ping, 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 ping pong, ping pong. Yes, well, you're going to have lots of that now, aren't you? Autopilot trims off. Fuel switches off. Ignition off. Lights are off. Clear off those. Cool. Well, I'll say thanks everybody for watching. Sentry, I hope that you managed to get some sleep, pal. I guess it's getting pretty late over there in Australia at the moment. Glider spoiler. Yeah, I don't think you're wrong. Yeah, man, thanks for keeping me company. It's been really cool. Like I said, I think I'm going to be on later tonight, or in a couple of hours doing DCS stuff. But I guess you'll be asleep then, Sentry. But yeah, we'll shut down the aircraft and we'll get our post-flight analysis. There we go. So from BGGH, which is Nuuk, to St John's, CYYT, total flight time 3 hours 36 minutes. So 6 minutes kind of overdue what I was expecting, so that's quite cool. Yeah, awesome. So I'll stop the stream here. Say thanks to everybody that's been watching. Sentry for chatting me for the last couple of hours and keeping me company. That's definitely made the difference. And I'll see you guys next time. Thanks very much.